few little clouds. So I've been busy the last few days. I think I cracked my engine. I had it on the dolly and came back in the morning and it was all oil everywhere, so I may have cracked it. I've got the bus up on the rotisserie now, and it's quite scary, to be honest with you. I've just dropped the last jack down, so I've been building this monstrosity here, and it's I don't know why, but I had somewhere along the line frame horns was suggested. I'm not sure, but turns out it wasn't a very good idea. There's too much flex in those. I think they were designed to flex, so it flexed up and down too much. I really should have just gone straight to the frame like I said in the first place, but you live and learn. So what I did is I had these box sections that I was going to join onto this side, but whatever had it, I had to not use this one, and went straight out, and then I made a box to go over the frame horn bolts. And then when I lifted it, it was just so much flex in it that what was going to happen was the bolts were going to snap. It was going to ruin the threads on the inside. So after staring at it for about 16 hours, I just thought, well, I go to the shock absorber bolt holes. I didn't want to weld to the frame after I'd already gone this far, and so I've got it to these points here, and it seems to be holding. So it's quite messy in here, but that was basically because it was on the fly, and it wasn't designed like that. But once I realized how much flex was in here, between this point here and this length here was a long distance. So there was probably nearly 3 inches of flex, and it was right at that point there. So that really scared me. Looking at the combined weight of the vehicle, you think to yourself, you've only got it all resting on these two weak points here. So anything's only as strong as its weakest 2 points, or weakest point, and that was that there. And it didn't sit well. So I just sat and worked out what I can do. That's the starting point anyway. If I find that it flexes again, I'm just going to weld it straight to that this support here. I'm going to weld another piece to there. I'll probably actually come straight to here. So I'll go another thinner beam from here all the way across, and same as this side here to there, and weld it straight on. And then I can come back later and just cut it off and clean it up. It'll give me peace of mind anyway. But I've just dropped the jack. The jack was under here holding that up, and it didn't really drop at all. After I'd welded it, it didn't really drop. It dropped about 0.5 centimetre. And if you think about this distance here, there's a lot of length, and that's not really much flex at all. So I'm still a little concerned about this. I think what I'll do is I'll get some strap and I'll go around, or some plate, and go here, and then maybe some... I've left this long because I might put a motor on it, but definitely going to put some support in here, and probably some more support here. This is another weak point right here. You can see, if you look at the whole system, you've got one very small area of weld here. I could probably run another one of these, but longer, all the way up to here, but it's still not as good as what I want. Or I thought about bringing a U all the way around and bringing it up, and then welding it along that line there. But I'm not really at that stage just now. So this is sorted out. It's going to have to come up a lot further. Obviously this plane here is where all the weight is in the vehicle right now. There's no roof, so it's going to have to come up to probably about here, I'd say. I'm guessing around that point there. so a bit more jacking involved. But further down here, you can see how skinny this area is. It's not really what I should be doing in here, but I'm sort of forced to. When you like cars, you sort of do it anyway. So this one's as I designed it in the first place. So unfortunately the back area looks pretty rough, but sometimes you just got to work around what you've got. So I wanted to have it like this, but because the frame horns were so close together, these box sections ended up being too close for this bar. So I couldn't actually put them on the beam at the bottom. So I had to actually flip the beam around and weld it to the inside of these boxes. So one half was welded here, and then if it was, you can imagine it was close to the other one as well, I welded it up there as well to this end, if you imagine it's flipped over. So that ruined my whole design, but that's all right. You live and learn. And then these come through from the front all the way through here up to this, what I've done. And obviously I've just got the one bolt in there now because I'm going to have to jack up the front a little bit to find the alignment there. And I didn't really want to do that at the beginning before I'm sort of at the fine-tuning point now. So I've managed to get the whole bus is off the ground now. It's not being supported by anything apart from the rotisserie, the front and the back. I think another thing what I might do, looking at it now, is there's going to be a lot of flex downwards along the length of this because it's quite a long vehicle. And to stop that, what I can do is go to the junkyard again tomorrow. I've used up all of that steel that I had. I had like a lot of this stuff. I know that they've got more. What I'm going to probably do is run a beam from that fixing plate that you see with the 4 bolt holes on it straight through the bus, and then I'll probably go around this point so I can work this and then join it into this fixing plate here, and that'll keep the distance exact over the whole build. And I think that'll definitely support the vehicle a lot better. My original idea was just to run a beam straight through the center of the vehicle from this point. That's what they do with the smaller vehicles like Minis. It's easy because there's not much weight in them. You can just run a beam straight through the firewall. In this case it would be this, but you run it straight through the firewall and then out towards the back bumper bar brackets. And at the front you just bring a member down to wherever the mounting points are at the front, and you can spin it just basically easily. I've seen plenty of cars, backyard rotisserie jobs like that. So this one was a bit more weight in it, obviously because I've upgraded the frame here. The frame's a lot heavier than original. I still look at these videos of these vehicles being restored and they still use that old school pressed steel. And it just looks so thin and flimsy to me. And you've got 2 pieces of metal sitting on top of each other and then you put a weld in it. It's just going to rust in there. But anyway, that's what it is. I suppose you want to keep it looking really nice. But anyway, rant is over. So these bolts are all tightened up. These ones are tightened up. This isn't. None of this is. So this support at the front here and on this side isn't. And I've just got one of two either side, so there's one on the other side as well on here, so the front's sort of be able to be positioned up and down to get the vehicle running on a crescent plane, I suppose you could call it, horizontal plane, in relation to this center and the other center. You really wouldn't want the bus being sort of like that, trying to flip around, because it'd sort of do that. So that'll be a lot of fiddling around tomorrow, I think. But this has taken me a few days now just to get to this point. I think that this little hurdle in here really set me back. I sat there and worked it out, and you know, I had these welded up onto there, and then I welded it to there, and then realised that there was just too much flex, and these were also too close. I really shouldn't have welded these parts on first. I should have put them on last. But anyway, that's okay. All of this is able to be cut apart and reused. Once again, it's all just from the scrap yard, so all high quality steel, but just recycled. So I'm going to try and pull it out of the garage now. I don't know. I think it's going to rain pretty soon. That's all building up to be something quite intense. Anyway, bring you back.